Welcome to the Roy Morgan Weekly Update. The latest Roy Morgan poll was completed after the Reserve Bank's interest rate increase, but before the Coalition's decision to reunite that was announced on Sunday afternoon. It shows ALP primary support on 28.5%, One Nation on 24.5%, just ahead of the LNP Coalition on 22.5%. The Greens on 13.5% and 11% supporting independents and other parties. The latest Roy Morgan poll was surveyed with a representative cross-section of 1,584 Australians from Monday, Feb 2 to Sunday, February 8. On a two-party preferred basis, the changing levels of primary support cut the ALP's lead. Now it's on 53.5%. ahead of the Coalition on 46.5%. If a federal election were held now, the ALP would be easily returned to government. However, Australians are increasingly concerned about Australia. An increasing majority of Australian electors, 58.5%, say the country's going in the wrong direction. Only 28.5% say the country's going in the right direction. This means the Roy Morgan government confidence rating is down 3.5 points to only 70. Now, the Reserve Bank's decision to raise interest rates has hit community confidence. ANZ Roy Morgan consumer confidence dropped 3.6 points to 76.9 last week, the lowest confidence level since December 2023. Driving this decrease was less confidence and deeper pessimism about the Australian economy's performance going forward. The drop in confidence is most clear when looking at long-term views of the Australian economy, which dropped 5.7 percentage points to minus 21.8 this week. This is below the pandemic low of minus 17.6, below the global financial crisis low of 0, and the lowest rating for this key indicator for over 35 years, since January 1991. In positive news this week, the leading indicator, ANZ Roy Morgan inflation expectations, dropped 0.5% to 5%. This means Australians expect inflation of 5% in each of the next 2 years. Now, the ANZ Roy Morgan inflation expectations were a leading indicator last year, foreshadowing rising inflation in the economy. So this result suggests there's hope inflation could soon start coming down. One indicator that supports this is the average retail petrol prices, a key inflation indicator, which dropped below $1.70 per litre last week for the first time since 2022. Now, a special analysis of Roy Morgan's mortgage stress data shows the Reserve Bank's decision to raise interest rates is set to hit mortgage holders in Victoria, Queensland and Tasmania the hardest. If the Reserve Bank raises interest rates again in March, 29.9% of mortgage holders in Victoria will be at risk of mortgage stress, 26.8% in Queensland and 32.6% in Tasmania, higher than any other state. The least impact will be felt in Western Australia. Only 25.5% of mortgage holders will be at risk, even if the RBA raises interest rates again. And finally, today to business. And this may just be the most important indicator of all. Australia's businesses lost confidence in January, down a significant 7.6 points to 97.4. Now, the biggest driver of that change was businesses losing confidence about their own prospects over the next year. This index dropped by a net 18.5 percentage points in January. Only 33.3% of businesses expect to be better off financially next year. That's down from 46.4%. The drop in confidence came after the ABS released official inflation figures early in January at 3.4% and again in late January at 3.8%, which showed inflation above the Reserve Bank's 2 to 3% target range, and discussion about interest rate rises was widespread. Of course, the Reserve Bank delivered on this discussion with an increase to interest rates just last week. This Roy Morgan Business Confidence series is based on interviews with 1,000 businesses each month to gauge their views on the company's prospects as well as their assessment of the broader Australian economy. Over the last 2 months of December and January, the lowest business confidence is for public administration and safety on only 72.8, its lowest rating for over a decade since May 2015. At the other end of the scale, we have electricity, gas, water and waste services, which recorded a business confidence of 132.5, followed by mining on 128.6. So looking forward to next week, I'll be back to bring you the latest data for consumer confidence, inflation expectations, and Roy Morgan's real unemployment. Look forward to seeing you then.